Partner selection is not just a procurement decision. It follows IT into every project after this one. My name is Scott Johnson, CEO of i3 Solutions. We have 30 years of experience in custom software and system integration, with customers ranging from commercial to DoD. Everything we share in these videos is built on hundreds of real projects, lessons learned the hard way, and our passion for creating working software over slideware. If you've followed this series, you know our focus is the discipline behind delivery, not just the technology itself. Most organizations treat the integration partner selection process like any other procurement decision. And unfortunately, that is exactly why so many of these selections and other digital transformation projects fail. Comparing proposals, reviewing certifications, checking resumes simply tell you who can write a compelling proposal. But it does not surface the difference between a partner who produces working software and one who produces a dependency you can't get rid of. If you are evaluating integration partners right now, then this video is for you. This is important because the partner you select shapes 3 critical decisions that provide long-term value, well before a line of code is ever written. First, architectural and technical decisions. You are hiring an external consultant because they bring pattern recognitions from hundreds of similar systems. And that is exactly what you are paying for. Use that. Fixing integration problems in production costs 3 to 5 times more than catching them during planning. That gap exists because every integration project accumulates hundreds of small technical choices. How data flows between systems, how architecture can handle change, what happens when one component needs to be replaced or upgraded. And a partner who prioritizes speed over quality makes these choices in a way that look invisible during build and become very expensive after go live. An experienced integration consultant surfaces these risks at design time, asking how the system scales when the business adds a component, what happens when the underlying platform is upgraded, and document every answer. Second, delivery and release decision. When something breaks in production, and it will, a partner with documented release gates has a rollback path and a tested diagnostic process. A partner without one has a conversation about who is responsible for fixing it, and that conversation costs time and trust. Release management, change control, and quality proof are not processes that happen after delivery. They are the delivery. A partner without a documented change control absorbs scope changes informally, where nothing is formally evaluated or approved, and it becomes the accumulation of technical debt with no audit trail. A team without quality gates, including testing at least 2 exceptions per use case before a feature is closed, ships whatever clears internal review. Exceptions are where production breaks. Defining and testing them before go live is what separates a system that runs reliably from one that does not. Third, operational handoff decisions. Studies consistently show that 70% of project handoffs fail. And the reason is almost never what organizations expect, nor does it typically want to hear. Most focus on technology transfer, architecture, infrastructure, deployment procedures. Those are the easy part. Support teams can learn any technical stack. What they cannot absorb from documentation alone are business rules, the specific logic embedded in every workflow decision made during implementation. And beyond knowing what was decided, the support team needs to have been involved with those decisions as they were implemented in code. This is where knowledge actually lives, not in a document, but in the hands of someone who built it. This is important. Handoff cannot happen at go live for one structural reason. Business rules are defined at the start and evolve throughout the project. They are what the entire software is built around. What cannot be fully anticipated until real users run real workflows are the exceptions to the rules, the edge cases, those combination of conditions that were never defined in the requirements. It's those scenarios that only appear when the system meets the full complexity of day-to-day operation. A support team that was not involved in how the code was built has no context for diagnosing it. An experienced integration partner plans this from day one. The support team is brought in during post-production stabilization, working alongside the development team with real exceptions that are being triaged and resolved together. They gain a better understanding of the full context by doing the work with the development team, not by reading about it in an isolated stale document afterwards. Most clients require documentation and delivery support at handoff. And that is typically written into the contract. That requirement feels logical. The project is complete, the system is live, and the engagement closes. But go live handoff is not the best practice, and it should not be treated as the end of the project. It does not produce the conditions for successful knowledge transfer, and it does not give the project the greatest probability of long-term success. Here is what actually happens when the support team takes ownership without production context. End users encounter problems that the team is not prepared to properly diagnose. Attempts to fix are incomplete or even create secondary issues. Then end users lose confidence in the system. They stop using the system or resort to other things like emails or other workarounds in order to get their job done. That erosion of trust often gets attributed to poor solution development by the initial integration partner, when in most cases, the solution architecture and engineering was completely sound. The root cause was the timing of the handoff. When users stop trusting a system, the cause is almost never technology itself. It's the accumulation of issues, architecture decisions that created ongoing technical debt, releases that break production, a support team that can't diagnose problems without calling the original dev team back. Each failure compounds on the last. When the project falls short, the partner often takes the blame for the execution. But IT owns the judgment call because IT made the selection. And no amount of partner accountability removes the initial question of why was that partner chosen in the first place. The next initiative now gets harder to fund because the last one didn't deliver what was promised. There is also a pattern worth pointing out. When an experienced partner implements proven delivery discipline on the project from start to finish, the project tends to run without emergency calls, without production surprises, and without major rework cycles. It can look like the project was easier than others. That's a common misconception. It's their experience is what made that possible. Now remember, every project has its bumps, but don't discount the partner who gets in, does the work, transfers the knowledge, and leaves without drama. The outcome is harder to produce than it looks. Those are the partners that should be on your speed dial. Once a partner is selected, both sides carry responsibility for the outcome. The integration partner brings delivery discipline, transparent status, and the judgment to escalate problems before they compound. The client brings requirements, accessible decision makers, honest feedback, and the willingness to make decisions when the project needs directions. When either side doesn't hold up their end, the engagement fails, and often in ways that are difficult to trace because both parties believe they did their part. Every productive working relationship runs on mutual respect and defined accountability and honest communication. The client that manages a partner at arm's length is already limiting what the engagement can deliver. Mutual respect, defined accountability, and honest communications are not relationship niceties. They are the operating conditions that determine whether the project succeeds and whether a strategic relationship is worth building. So the bottom line, the partner you select shapes 3 decisions that determine long-term outcomes. Architectural decisions that determine whether the system can scale and change without breaking. The delivery practices that determine whether it runs reliably in production. And the operational handoff that determines whether your team can own it. An integration partner who raises these 3 conversations before signing is already showing you how the engagement will run and whether this is a decision IT can be proud of or will it spend the next 2 years explaining.